think this is always a debate when a former player scores against their former club. Kiefer Moore, of course, coming back to Cardiff, I had a good spell there. Was close to potentially rejoining them until, of course, he signed for us, and he's done really well. 5 goals in 9 games, which is pretty good return so far. But boys, the question is your thoughts on former players scoring against their not celebrating against their former sides. Stu, AJ, take away.
I think it's circumstantial, to be perfectly honest, because you see it sometimes, and it might be a player who returns to the former club where they've spent 4 months on loan, made a handful of appearances, and you're thinking, do you kind of owe them that much in terms of those things? When you look at the Kiefer Moore situation, I mean, this was really the spell that made it for him, wasn't it? In terms of he'd come up and gone back down and come back up again. This was his kind of breakout spell in the Championship, and it's what earned him the move to a club that would end up going to the Premier League and turn him into a Premier League player. So I can understand having that level of respect, having the level of respect for fans that absolutely adored him, that were probably quite hurt by the way that he left as well. So all those elements come into play. With situations like that, I totally understand. There are others maybe where you wouldn't say the same, but at the end of the day, celebrate how you want, I guess, within reason. But definitely, I think that's probably the big difference I would make in terms of how important have you been, what was the relationship with the fans, how important was that spell for your career in terms of what the club did for you. And in Moore's case, it ticks all of those boxes, and you can absolutely see why he didn't celebrate, even though he was getting quite a few pelters. And to be fair, when he came off, yeah, there were boos, but at least the supporters, quite a few of the supporters in front of where we were sat, were kind of giving him a round of applause for as well, putting in a really strong battling performance, had taken a nasty knock, been patched up, battled on, scored the goal. A lot to like, and I think that you can understand why he did it. And in the kind of moment of the football match, yeah, absolutely, you get those back and forward chants and boos and all those things, but there's always a level of mutual respect that comes with that as well. And I think you saw that from both sides at different points, from Moore's side and from the Cardiff fans.
You got more to add, Stu? I think once again, it does depend on maybe their spell at the club. There's been a few, of course, former Town players who have scored against us, and there's been a mixed bag. I think Jordan Rhodes is the big one, who obviously was a young player here, played a few games and got left, and of course went on to have the career he's went on. But I remember him scoring against us, and he really celebrated, and the fans went, "Oh, horrible!" But yeah,
it's, as Alex says, it's all down to circumstance, and I think with players like the Jordan Rhodes example you use, maybe that's they've used that as a bit of motivation, a point to prove, fire in the belly to kind of prove that they were wrong to let you go at that time. Someone like George Hurst, I think, has used that as motivation going into games against Blackburn and Leicester to sort of show that they should have got more game time at clubs or shouldn't have been let go at that stage in their career. I think Connor Chaplin feels the same way about Barnsley as well. But very different in Kiefer Moore's situation for the reasons that sort of Alex has outlined. And I thought that was quite classy for him. Important goal, an important time of the game, having sort of, without over-egging the boos, it was probably a sort of fairly mixed, wasn't it? I'm sure there's some there that, and also you've got to bear in mind that he's a Welsh international as well. He'll be playing in that stadium with a Wales shirt on before long as well. So maybe sort of mindful that he wants to keep relations with the Welsh fans pretty good as well going forward. So yeah, no problem with that at all. That was a sort of respectful hands by the side, sort of not go over the top, but then also made sure he enjoyed his moment with those Ipswich fans in that corner, blew them a little kiss, and which takes us into the latter stages of the game. And obviously Kiefer doesn't finish the game, which is quite a significant talking point.